Here, there's a time where like the eye turns to the gorge, and you open your Instagram and you're like, oh, I guess everyone's in the freaking gorge doing runs at Rufus. What am I missing out
Yeah.
on? So I'll just tell you, it's $1,000 a day.
I've seen you with the pyro a lot.
Ooh, yeah,
How's that?
yeah. It's
Must be good
really
if you ride it a lot. Did you know that when you're foiling in cold water, that your ear canal can actually close up? You can grow extra bone, and then you can either lose hearing or you can get infections because the water that gets in cannot get out. So you should protect yourself with SurfEars. SurfEars are made to protect your ear, but you can still hear, and that's the important issue. If you're on foil, you still want to hear the environment. So think about your health. Get your SurfEars in the link in the description. Stay safe.
This is Up on Foil, the podcast for everyone flying just above the surface. Pump, carve, soar, let's foil!
This episode is also sponsored by Foil Sessions, but more on that later.
Welcome to episode number 89 of Up on Foil, the podcast where we talk all about foiling. And let me introduce us real quick. I'm Matt. I'm a very average foiler, mostly on the Parawing and in the Netherlands at the moment. And I have with me a not at all average foiler, a professional kiteboarder, and he's spreading hydrofoiling as a mission, you said that on a Insta reel. And we're going to talk about your new project, the Gorge Foil Academy. Thank you so
yeah.
much, Brandon, for coming on the show. Is there anything you want to add right away?
I don't think so. I'm just a lifelong wind sports enthusiast. I've been flying kites when I was like a little kid. I started with stunt kites, and that led me into the world of kiteboarding, which then led me into hydrofoiling. When we first started, I was working at Liquid Force Kiteboarding, which is no longer in business, but we were foundational in getting the foil fish, which was like the first aluminum extruded hydrofoil targeted towards like entry and cheap people. This is before wing foiling. This is before pump foiling. This is before any of this. There was like Carafino, Haru, and lift foils, and that's it. And you couldn't get them. So we've been kind of interested in hydrofoiling since the beginning because it's awesome for light wind in wind sports, right? Pair it with a kiteboard. You can use an 8-meter kite and go in 8 knots of wind. You can have so much fun on the foil. And then that translated into the foils getting better, and then the foils got better and better, and then winging came, and then parawinging and SUP foiling and pump foiling and prone foiling, and all the foiling started. So, yeah, I've just been a passionate wind sporter that then put me in the, I guess you could say, like the crosshairs of the foiling, because kiteboarding, arguably before surfing or wakeboarding or any of the people, kind of took foiling and was like, this is for us. It helps us in light wind. It's way more fun. And I think us as kiteboarders are responsible for the rapid growth in the quality of the hydrofoils and the offerings in the hydrofoil, because we all went to work and made great hydrofoils. And then the winging came about kind of in the wind sports world. And that really put the pressure on to make really good hydrofoils. And then now it's like parawing and downwind SUP and all the proliferations, right? So foiling has just been amazing, and it's just intertwined with wind sports in my life in a magical way. So that's why I kind of want to like blow foiling up. I've been passionate about it for a really long time. And I think it's something everyone should be looking at. If you're in the world of, let's say, I hate to say action sports because that makes it seem like we're doing something crazy out there. I'm not jumping that much on my foil. I'm just cruising. It's more akin to like powder snowboarding. I would be the closest thing that you could maybe get it close to. So anybody that's operating in that sphere should be looking at hydrofoiling right now, because it's affordable, it's accessible, and it's amazing. Like, it's just an amazing sensation that we can get our hands on these days. It's so cool.
100%. And I want to first thank you so much for doing that work. And what you said about kite foiling, that's exactly why I started foiling, because I was out with the kite when it was windy, and for family life, it really didn't fit my family life. So I thought I should start foiling because I could go out in lower winds. And that's why I actually started. So it's exactly what I did. You just came back from a massage, right? How are you? Feeling good.
Came from a massage. I was in an acupuncture. Yeah, I
Oh
am doing
shit. Oh.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, you know, the body is like a car. If you make an analogy, your body's your car. If you don't put good fuel in your car and you just beat the crap out of it, your car doesn't really look that great and do that great. So you need a lot of stuff as you age to age with grace and kind of be able to continue to operate at a high level. I still want to be able to shred when I'm in my 50s. I see a lot of guys here in the gorge shredding into their 60s. So it just takes
Nice.
some work. And so massage is a part of the program. Yeah.
How old are you, man?
I'm 40. I'll be 41 in September of this year. So
All right.
not that old, but old enough that I need to start kind of looking after a few things because my professional career was look, like when you're a professional athlete, football, baseball, soccer, whatever choice, there's a cost that you're going to pay for all of those years of intensive training from youth to professional. And some youth start really young. You see like these kids that are like insane athletes when they're 8. That's intensive training from 8 until this is like 20 years of
That's
intensive training.
crazy.
That has a price on your body, and I think as I age into my 40s, I'm starting to feel a little bit of the kicker hits. Maybe I hit the kicker too many times. As a professional kiteboarder, could have done with maybe one less kicker hit. But yeah, just maintenance stuff. I mean, I also had a really bad accident a couple years ago that kind of sidetracked my life and put me in this weird position. So that also had an impact on the quality of my like physicality in the water and stuff. So just kind of taking every day as we can take it. Massage is a part of the program for sure.
Yeah. Maybe for the listeners, I followed you on your Instagram and I saw what you probably went through.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just give a quick like story what happened and how you're feeling now and maybe how that affected you as a like a sporty guy.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. So we'll try to be concise. Ding me if I'm talking too much. So in November of 2023, so about 2 years and change ago, I was involved in a paragliding accident. For people who know stuff about paragliding, I was down this wormhole called speed flying, which is like this really high intensity version of paragliding. It works really great with wind sports because you can't speed fly in wind and you can't kiteboard in no wind. So guess what? We have no wind sport and we have wind sport. So I got kind of down this wormhole and I ended up in a pretty bad accident that I had broken a number of things in my spine and my hips. I had a couple what you'd call aneurysms or bleeds in my brain, inside of my brain, that were really touch and go for a while. I was in a coma for a while. And then when I woke up, you have a brain injury, and brain injuries are super crazy. So I was pro athlete. I recovered from the broken spine, broken hips, blown knee, broken face, like all this stuff. That seemed to be pretty easy. I know how to work out. I know how to do the PT. I know how to do all that stuff. Brain injury, you're seeing like physical specialists, you're seeing occupational specialists, speech therapy. There's really no like straightforward path through the brain injury. It's kind of absolutely insane. And so I've been on this journey. I'm still kind of dealing with a lot of the fallout two and change later. And I've talked to a lot of people that, man, the decades later, they're still dealing with the fallout. So these things are really kind of crazy. And they happen in our sports, they happen in everyday life. So it's just kind of like a crazy journey. But because I had access to hydrofoil equipment, aka I was in the sports, I had the equipment. We live in the gorge where it's not that hard for us to go get in the river. I was able to, once they cleared my spine and hips and all that stuff, I was able to start trying to like go try to hydrofoil. And for those of you that are learning to hydrofoil or have learned to hydrofoil, that's pretty challenging in terms of balance, visuospatial, learning it all. So I mean, I honestly, I have a decade of hydrofoil experience at that point. Like we're 10,000 hours of hydrofoiling. I don't know. I was back at square one, to be honest with you. I couldn't balance. I couldn't
Wow.
do any of that stuff. I was like going in the water and getting so dizzy from the destabilization. I would like throw up in the water and I have to go in and I'd be like crying. I couldn't drive anywhere. I was like whole crazy. But because it's so challenging and so visuospatial and so balance requirements, it was like kind of what I needed. Like, had I not had the hydrofoil to be motivated to go ride and to go work on my balance, maybe I just would have sat and laid down on the floor and never really worked on my balance, and then it would have caused me problems for longer. So in some ways, the brain injury is a journey into becoming uncomfortable, overcoming that uncomfort, and then becoming uncomfortable again. You need to constantly
Yeah.
find your new, like, you can't go outside of this area. Now you can. Now you can. Now, and you just keep pushing. And the hydrofoil allowed me a safe environment because I did learn to kiteboard again, and guess what I was doing? I was doing like big kite loops and stuff right away because I know how to do that stuff. And I had a full brain injury. Like I had mania. I was depressed, a crazy person. You couldn't tell me not to do anything. And I was just doing huge boogie loops and stuff. I'm like, okay, I gotta put the kite away because I'm not allowed to hit my head again. And the hydrofoil was this access to just everything that I love about water sports: bliss, joy, flow, carving, like amazing sensations, challenge. And I got to do that through my whole recovery process. It was like this beautiful way to kind of face the hardship of what for a lot of people is like a really I mean, it's a life-changing thing when you go through an accident like this, but in my case, it changed my life in a way that's almost better. Like I feel like my alignment is better. I realized what's important in life. I realized what's valuable. It gave me a lot of perspective on life in general. We also had a kid, changed the whole program a lot, and so all of that, the brain injury, I was like, wow, hydrofoiling saved my life. And then I'm like, I want to kind of like give it people experiences because like that's the most important is the time you share with people. Time is your most valuable resource that you have. You're given, let's say on average 75 years is a adult life expectancy in the Western world, let's say for right now. I don't want to do the math, but that's like however many minutes you get, all these minutes. And because you have a glut of minutes and you see old people who have lived till they're 80 and you're like, you have this, you're like this infinite bag of time that you're just like, I'll dole out time here. I'll scroll on my phone. I'll freaking waste my time doing this. I'll do this. And then when you have like some crazy stuff happen, you're kind of like, uh-oh. Sometimes you don't have all the time. So maybe you need to invest your time
Yeah.
in ways that are impactful and matter for you and your community and the people around you. So my kind of calling coming out of this is like, I want to share these profound life exchanges, experiences, and wind sports changed my life so drastically. Like without wind sports, I don't know. I have everything in my life has come from wind sports, and the hydrofoiling is just an extension of that. And so if I can give anyone the gift of time on the water, that is the biggest gift that you can give to a human is you can take control of your time and you can invest it in the way that is meaningful for you, that helps you fill up your cup, that helps you show up for your family, that helps you shows up for your community. And so I'm like all charged up to give people these experiences because it's kind of what matters in life. And then the hydrofoiling matters to me. So the two come together in this crazy thing because to make I just want to share experiences. And that's kind of where I'm focusing my energy now because what else is there to do? I
So
might as well share.
foiling was kind of your therapy then.
Okay, so Jens from the Foil Sessions app has supported this podcast for a while, which is epic. Thank you so much. Now, to promote his app even more, he's given away a Apple Watch, a new Apple Watch, and you can win it. You can win it by share a Foil Sessions track on the Instagram. Make sure to tag @Foil Sessions app so he sees you. If you add the hashtag, that helps as well. Share your track, maybe with an overlay of your video, which is really fun and easy to do. If you're not sure how you did it, contact me and yeah, share these sessions.
I mean, that's a long way of describing what happened. Sorry for everyone if you're on for a roller coaster. Another thing that came out of the injury is I am not good at talk.
Um, so now you said that you told us your story. Thank you so much for sharing, man. You talked about the gorge, and I want to like talk about that place because it sounds amazing. But let's just because you said you want to share, you want to give the people the possibility and the opportunity to learn how to foil better. And let's just dive into your newest project, that Gorge Foil Academy, and that's brand new, right?
Yeah, so I had the idea a while ago, but I just didn't have the bandwidth and the ability to kind of follow through with the idea. And so it's been on my mind for a while, and just more and more the gorge is becoming a summer epicenter of hydrofoiling. between the winging that happens here, the downwind supping that's happening here, the parawinging that's happening here, the AWSI like trade show industry happens here. There's a time where like the eye turns to the gorge, and you open your Instagram and you're like, oh, I guess everyone's in the freaking gorge doing runs at Rufus. What am I missing
Yeah.
out on? And so because of that beacon that's being blasted, it's kind of like you live on the North Shore of Hawaii and like these waves show up and people are like, oh, these waves are here. We're coming for the waves. And you're like, I should probably like start a surf school because like these waves are awesome and everyone's coming from around the world to come ride my waves. I should like kind of like figure this out. Um, and then I've had a lot of experience in the gorge. Like it's 90 plus miles, the zone you're gonna go. It's the wind sports opportunities are from like Rooster Rock to Arlington, which is going to cover about 2.5 hours of driving at 75 miles an hour down a highway. So there's a lot of nuance to the gorge, and I've spent a lot of time figuring out the nuance because I've been kind of that's what I want to do. So I have a lot of skill in like predicting where you should be, what you should want to do, and so because I want to share the learning of the foiling, I kind of know the gorge, and the gorge is becoming this beacon for foiling. I'm like, man, we should bring people here and we should give them the most amazing experiences of their life because there's the insane stuff going on here that is just magical. You're riding waves for, I mean, we did a run the other day that was 17 miles long. It took us an hour and 40 minutes and we were riding waves the whole way. We didn't really even get our parawings back out until the very end. So that's something I don't know that you can get anywhere. It was a 18-minute shuttle up the highway to go get dropped off. And then it was a hour and 40-minute downwind run. That's pretty good return for investment in your shuttle. So not only does the gorge offer world-class conditions in which it's like day after day after day, and it's pretty good. We have the current that opposes the wind, so it makes the bumps, unlike open ocean bumps, when you ride like in the M2O or you're riding like the big open ocean stuff, the bumps are really fast and there's a lot of bump. And your goal is to keep up with the bumps. And if you watch the videos, the boys do turns, don't get me wrong. Their turns are not like really tight C's. They're more drawn out open turns to carry speed and can stay up with the stuff. A lot of the foils they ride are really fast. And they're more apt to go straighter than they are to go turnier. You don't see a lot of the boys doing downwind runs on MA foils, like lower aspect MA turn foils. But there are a lot of people that ride here in the river on those turny foils because the bumps are slow here. They're not fast. I actually find myself having to slow down to rip the bumps to shreds. So you get a lot of turns here, and you get a lot of like distance covered for little investment. You know, in Maui, the famous channel run, like you got to drive from the one side of the North Shore of Maui to the other side and go through like 4 towns of traffic jams. It's like, dude, it can be so annoying. And here you just jump on the highway and you're there in like no time. So it's kind of cool in that we have the open opportunity for both lappable spots, kind of like a wave spot where you're like, I'm going to stay here and ride here and do like upwind, downwind, or you can do like more invested runs. So the gorge just offers like a lot. And it's kind of day after day after day after day. It sets up where it's just like windy a lot every day.
What time should people come? Like
Ooh,
summer?
that's going to depend on how comfortable you are with crowds and cold water. So it's firing right now. Like it's been blowing nonstop for a month. Kind of like I have to drive a little bit here and there to go chase it, you know, and at 45 minutes here or there. But most people to drive 45 minutes to go to the beach is nothing. So like,
Yeah.
but it's been firing. I'm in my 5'4", in my booties, and the water is in 51 Fahrenheit. So I can't do the conversion in my mind right off the top. But
Me
I don't
neither,
think
but I'm gonna do it here. 10 degrees. Okay.
so. It's
Yeah.
yeah, and then the air's been anywhere from 50 up to, dude, it was like 85 the other day. So it can be really nice.
It's warm.
It can be really nice. But it's generally a little cold and it's a little blustery and it's a little, you know, it's just spring. So now is great. Personally, in my opinion, I think now is one of my favorite times of year. All the flowers are blooming. It's beautiful. It's raining. I love the the Northwest vibe. There's insane sessions to be had. There's a lot of current in the river because of the spring melts. So the bumps have a lot more juice because there's more going the other way, right?
Yeah.
So there's like smaller bumps still have push. Um, Typically people are going to come in, I would say like more July, August, when you're looking at daytime temperatures are going to be more in the 80s and 90s. And you're going to be looking at water temperatures upward in the upper 60s and 70s. You're going to be wearing like a shorty. Some people don't even wear wetsuits at this point. And then typically that's when we're going to have like pretty proper day after day after day conditions. June and July and August are, dude, honestly, I don't want to say 30 out of 30 days, but there's a lot of days of wind in those months. And so that's typically when people are going to look to come to the gorge. September, October are really great. March, April, May are also really great, but again, colder. November, December, January, February, man, I did a downwind run in January. That was one of the best downwind runs I did my whole year. It was freezing cold, but it was insane. So there's something to offer a lot. And then in the winter, you can snowboard too, right? You can go up to Mount Hood and you can go
Yeah,
snowboarding.
it
Like,
doesn't
there's more
always need to be foiling.
yeah, there's more going on than just being in the river here. The nice thing about here that's really awesome is you don't need to, I mean, you need to look at the forecast, right? Don't get me wrong. You want to know when it's going to be windy and where, but like generally it's windy a lot. And so you don't need to structure your life around the wind. You're not like, oh, Tuesday's wind, I have to reschedule my whole family life and the kids and like so I can get on the water. It's like, man, if it's not windy Tuesday, it's going to be windy Wednesday probably or Thursday. And if not, it's like there's always some time, it seems like. So that's part of the reason when we moved here, we were like, this is really rad because we don't need to chase conditions. And at this point, we were kiteboarders. Foiling wasn't even really a thing yet. But now that we can foil, it's insane. It's insane. It's even better. It's even better than when we first moved here. It's way better.
When I look at these videos, and yes, I always see these videos, and I always think I should go there. Can it happen that there are too many people out there? Like, I can imagine that social media accelerates like over tourism as well. Is that a problem
Yes.
at all?
Yeah, for sure. So town will get busy with traffic, obviously. The
And on the
premier
water?
riding location, the premier riding location for, I would say, most of the people that want to hydrofoil in the corridor, if they're not driving to go chase some epic session at Rufus or somewhere else in the gorge, is going to be the hatchery. The hatchery only has 200 parking spots, maybe. And in the summer, dude, if you're not there by 10 in the morning, it could be parked out because people drive their vans here. They're used to like showing up, pulling up their van, getting their coffee out, hanging out, and spending the day at the hatchery. And they're there all day. And we're talking, you think it might just be hydrofoils. We're talking like so many windsurfers still. Like windsurfing is still a thing at the hatchery. So on the water, it can be a little crowded, right? There's a lot of zigzag traffic. The windsurfers are on one angle, the kiters are on another angle, the foilers are on a different angle, the downwind suppers, the paddler, like can be a little bit like Frogger in the video game. You know this game where you're like
Yeah. Trying to cross
yeah,
the
kind of
road,
like
right?
that. You're like kind of bouncing around the river. So that's just at that one particular spot. But there's, like I said, there's 90 plus miles or more of rideable wind in the gorge. So you don't need to go ride at the hatchery. It's just where all the cool kids are. It's just kind of where you want to ride.
So if people were to want to like join you and take classes with you, you
Yeah.
go somewhere else probably. What do you offer, and what is your goal with that school?
Yeah. So the offering I'm going to be teaching from a jet ski. So we'll have the ability to kind of go in the river where we need to go. There's several zones outside of the hatchery that offer arguably just as good at conditions at the hatchery. And the reason why people aren't there is because they're just like kind of a pain in the ass to get to. There's not a parking spot right next to it. It's way easier just to go to the hatchery, right? So I know some spots that we're going to utilize for various things, mostly swell riding, right? Because we want big proper bumps to ride. That's kind of what I'm targeting. I'm not that keen and or targeting people to teach them how to wing right out of the gate. They know nothing. I want to learn how to do everything. I can do that, and I've done that before, and I'm happy to talk with people about what that journey looks like. I'm kind of a little bit more interested in teaching people the full circle of the program, whether that's riding bumps, that's going to be winging, that might be parawinging, It could be taking your winging from, hey, I can putz around in my lake, to like, hey, I want to be able to attack the lip a little bit more. I want to ride a smaller foil. I want to understand how to connect these situations. I want to take people and I want to up level them. That might include, like I said, teaching people to wing, but that is not my current target. There are a lot of schools in the Gorge that are teaching beginners. And I'll be honest with you, that's just something that I would love to give to them. I would love to have gear that is associated with more complete level riders and help them up level their experiences. To be honest with you, so we will be using several locations depending on skill level. Some offer flat water, some offer ridiculously large bumps. And we will be utilizing those. The launching locations will kind of change depending on what corridor or section of the river we're going to access. But there's boat ramps and easy parking and everything at the spots that I'm going to teach. And then what I want to offer it is the ability to tap into one, the knowledge of my knowledge of the gorge, my knowledge of the hydrofoil in general. I can share a lot of great knowledge that can help you. You know, sometimes someone, all they need is just a little tweak, like a little one sentence you can say just in the right way can like unlock something for somebody. And I've been, you know, I taught kiteboarding for a decade when at my time at the in North Carolina at Real Water Sports. I also then have been active in the coaching space for a long time. And so I do actually really enjoy coaching and teaching. It's a beautiful, beautiful art of like setting people up for success so that they just achieve these amazing goals and have these profound experiences. And there's like an art to being able to do that. And so I just want to offer people up level your stuff right now, especially. I think there is a window to parawinging. So if you wing, you know how to hydrofoil and wing, but parawinging is way more like kite than a wing. I feel it flies more like a kite than a wing. You have to, when you go into a jibe, you actually have to do things to make it go through the jibe. You can't just switch your hands and go the other way like
Yeah,
you can
that's
with
true.
a wing.
Yeah.
So there's this weird learning curve that people are jumping into that is like either super fun because they love learning, or they're like, I'm a good winger. This sucks. It's like being a really awesome skier and you go to your home mountain. You're like, I'm going to do a snowboard today. How hard could that stupid thing be? And then you're on a snowboard and you can't go anywhere and you're just so pissed. So I feel there's this opportunity to look, I just spent the last year and a half learning how to do it all over the world, and I've had terrible sessions, and I can help you not have terrible sessions. And so I think there's this focus on the gorge for the bump riding. It seems like a really good spot for parawinging. Over half of the people now at the hatchery are parawinging. Like, it's crazy. There's so many parawingers here. It's like, I don't know if it's a magnet, like moths to a flame. They're showing up. And they need help. They need to know what to do. They need to know how to stow. They need to know how to redeploy. They need to know how to self-rescue. They need to know how to deal with the bag. They need guidance. And so I think there's a space for some, what I would call a beginner parawing lesson, but you're not going to take a never ever, right? It's not going to be someone
Yeah.
that's like, I've never hydrofoiled before. I want to learn to parawing. They're going to be like,
No, you shouldn't.
I'm a good hydrofoiler. Help me learn how to put this in my back pocket so I can ride with you for an hour down the gorge. It's like, okay, that's a different conversation. And that's something I'm interested in because the sensation that you can get with the parawing is pretty unparalleled. It seems nuanced that you're like, oh yeah, you have a wing and it's depowered, or you have this parawing and it's in your pocket. It's kind of the
No,
same
it's
thing, right? And you're like,
it's totally
it's very
different.
different, actually. The sensation when you have the thing away and you're free, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I even think it's different if you have it in your hands than if you have it stashed away.
Oh, for sure.
Because you don't have that backup, that, ooh, something is happening, I
I
need to
know.
get back.
Yeah.
Oh, nope,
Yeah.
you're done.
Yeah. It becomes, the cool thing is when you put the thing in the bag, it becomes less about it's a physical thing, right? You need to pump and turn and keep up with the swell. But it's also become such a mental thing. You can't just turn off your brain and just like ride around. You have to be like, okay, maybe on a good wave you can, like a wave spot, but here in the gorge, you're always looking for your next move. You're always playing chess. It's like an endless game of chess. It's so fun.
And for me, it's also kind of the sound changes. If you have the wing, the parawing flying, you have the wind, the sounds, and then as soon as you stash it away, you have the material you can hear. But as soon as you've packed it away and turned around that pouch, it's silent. And it's a totally different level. I love that. Can I ask you, if you do those classes, is it going to be private classes or those groups that are going to be working with you? How is that going to look?
Yeah, so right now with the jet ski, right, you can only really have 2 people supported on a jet ski. So and then if those 2 people don't know each other and they're very different levels, that is a really hard service to give to 2 people. We were like, "Okay, you're barely riding and you're ripping." I That spreads me really thin. So I will be taking group lessons if we can associate either the people know each other or maybe they're of similar level, or there's some way that we can kind of bridge the gap. It's not just 2 random people showing up and hoping for the best cause. And that
Okay.
might be me literally being like, "You want to go and you want to go. You guys are both at the same level. Hey, Jerry, meet Ben. You guys are going to start an ice cream company here after this lesson. And we're going to do this wonderful thing." So it might be some orchestration behind the scenes, but yeah, I'm not, that's kind of a case by case. I think with the pairwing, I think I can do 2 people that don't have the same levels at the same time, right? Because I think, um, let's be honest, your first lesson, unless I light you up with heaps and heaps of power, you might not get up that much. And so if it's just 2 people kind of yanking on the bags and kind of putzing around and learning how to stash and move around and stow, I think that's a little bit more achievable with multiple people. And then as well with the pairwinging lesson, for sure there's some time on the ground, flying the pairwing in the wind, understanding how it turns, understanding how to adequately stow it, store it. Look, also, we got to educate people on taking care of these products. Right now, the brands are just kind of touching on how to make sure that these things last a while. And I have used all the reputable brands like Ozone, Fly Surfer, F1, Slingshot, you name it. I've used their pair wings. I don't know how long these things are going to last. I load them up. I go in 30 knots on these things. They're loaded up, and the rods and all the bridles, like, so there needs to be some education around care, how to move around in the water space, how to make sure you're safe. Like, what happens if you have an
Yeah.
issue? Like, what's the equivalent of the self-rescue for parawinging? Obviously, you can paddle, like, right? But
Yeah.
there's other methods. So I think there's some stuff that you could learn in a block of time that would make you feel like, hey, you know what? I knew nothing, and I still suck at parawinging, but now I know enough stuff that I can go out and practice on my own and feel like I'm gonna get there. Versus just like, I know nothing and this is going to take me forever. At least you have a path to follow. So I don't anticipate the parawing lessons to be like, I want to keep taking parawing lessons. I feel like that's like I'm going to learn how to stow it from Brandon. I'm going to learn how to fly it. I'm going to learn how to water start. And then I'm going to go off on my adventures and start learning how to parawing in my local beach or in the gorge here.
You need a
And no
lot of
one's really
time
offering,
to practice anyway.
yeah, no one's really offering anything like this because I think right now, a lot of the people that are getting into parawing are the first adapters. They're the early adapters, right? The last year was the first year that they were like kind of happening at the hatchery, and this year they're like, there's a lot more than the early adapters now. It's a lot more. But those early adapters, they're very, I hate to say this, they're very ego. They're very much, I don't need a lesson. I know how to do this. I'm going to figure this out. I bought the thing. I'm going to learn and suffer. They're willing to do the suffer because that's what they like to do. They like to brag. Hey, I learned this parawing thing because I'm so good. I can do it and you can. It took me forever. Now becomes the second wave where all of those people are shouting at the top of their lungs, this is amazing. And everyone's going, well, I want to do this, but I'm not maybe like that great or that willing to suck again.
Yeah.
I need help. And so it might be that there's this beautiful middle ground where like there's enough people that are kind of thinking about it and they're not willing to kind of start at ground zero. And also Parawing's like what, $1,000? So
Yeah,
would you
depending
rather,
which ones. And they have gotten better. Like people who waited just that 1 year, they made the right choice, I'd say.
yeah. So if it's the choice between $1,000 to get a Parawing and then maybe my winging board and foil work for me and I'm going to go struggle, or if it's like, maybe I can spend that same amount of money on a lesson, get all the guidance I need, and then set myself off on a huge success path. I feel like there's some middle ground there to offer.
You know, that's
Basically,
a great segue. Question about price. And I was on your website. I am on your website right now. I didn't
yeah.
see a price. Is that on purpose?
No, it's there if you go under the sessions and you go to like book, like go under the lessons offerings. I'll just tell you, it's $1,000 a day. We split that in half. There's a half day is going to be, I think we offer $600 a day for a half day, and $1,000 for a full day. That is 6 hours of lessons. Basically, that's going to cover your gear if you need it. Obviously, a lot of people might want to bring their own foil that they're very dialed on, and or their Parawing that they spent their money on already. But I will be offering Armstrong equipment, which I believe is like really, really great to learn on. And then also I'll be using Ozone for my Parawings. I believe that they offer a very solid platform in which to learn with. Yes, there are other Parawings that do other things well, and there is a whole host of things. But I think when you look at the whole picture, I think their line of Parawings in both the Pocket Rocket and the Power Pack offer just ease of use. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
over a broad spectrum of people that may have kite skills, may not have kite skills, may have it just is you pick it up and it's easy to fly. So that will cover all of that. Obviously, I'll be filming video. I'll be doing all kinds of stuff. But yeah, and again, the price is not to be prohibitive to anybody. It's just to know that my value is extremely high. The value that I bring to the table is like I've been working 25 years to get this value in terms of like what I know, where to go, what to do, and how to subtly nudge you to achieve your goals. I think it's yeah, it's I don't think it's too absurd.
Yeah, I couldn't find it before. I found it now. So if people want to check that out, it's gorgefoilacademy.com. They
Yep.
can find it for themselves. Yeah, I mean, price is always a thing. Also, time you said those are 6 hours, and that's not going to be enough, right? It's maybe enough to get your basics, but then you probably need another couple of days at the gorge. Are you
Yeah,
helping with accommodation as well? How does that work?
yeah, so I don't have a direct lead on accommodations. Like I don't have anyone that like, oh, you should go rent this house or do this thing. It's a tricky spot. Summer in the Gorge is popular. There's several options in which you can look into, and we can start at the very rudimentary. You can book yourself a campsite, fly in, go to Walmart, grab yourself a tent and a sleeping bag. There's heaps of campsites around here. Is it never rains? It's pretty nice. It's comfortable. I know lots of friends that have camped here for months and just come and ride park when we were in the pro kiteboarding phase. Next up would be like van camp it, like basically like rent a van, a U-Haul or something that you can like crash in and kind of around town and shady park it. That's kind of maybe not my favorite option. I'd rather camp than that. There's several hotels in town from like your basic like Econo Lodge kind of style hotels to like high-end boutique hotels. There's one that just opened in town this year called Lightwell that's actually really, really well done. It's downtown. You can walk to all the restaurants and the bars and like food options and all that stuff. You could technically walk to the beach, but in Segorge, you got to cross the bridge. I would say that most people would be way more comfortable if they actually had their own vehicle. So whether you want, probably rent a car from the airport when you come into PDX, and then from there up from hotels, you can look into there's heaps of Airbnb rentals, all that kind of stuff on the internet. There's just takes a savvy looker, and there's plenty of options in this town. It's a host of way too expensive accommodations and lodgings, but there's some really affordable ones as well. There's some hostel options, there's some camping options, there's some room share options. You just got to be kind of creative.
You said you did it before for a long time, like the teaching part. But now you said your life has changed a bit. Like the accent is one thing, being a parent is another thing. When you look at foiling, it's so fun, so cool. But now you're making foiling your job again with teaching. Are you afraid that you kind of lose the affection for it a bit? Or is that no problem?
I think that because of my previous involvement in the kiteboarding industry, so look, I started as a pro kiteboarder. That turned into kind of like I was helping out at Liquid Force behind the scenes, helping making video collaterals, going on trips for like, hey, we need this product shot. I need you to script. We need to like come up with a video concept essentially, and like how do we promote this product, make something cool, go on this trip, make it work. To then it started back end marketing. Then that slid into like product design and development. I moved companies. I started working at Slingshot. I was behind the scenes. I was working as the head product testing and basically like working with the design team to come up with all the wonderful products that are coming to market, I guess, from the 2025 cycle forward, because I left that as well. So that would be like their one lock foil system. That would be a lot of their stuff. So I think that if I would have lost my love for that kind of stuff, I would have lost it during the time when it was just like go grind and like you're always in the weeds. Like there's always something wrong when you're working on product. You're always trying to put a fire out. You're always changing hats. And I made it through that without too much of a burnout per se. And so I think being able to get on the water and share the experiences with people is something that is still really gratifying in a way that you can't really put your fingers on. When I was a kiteboarding coach, look, I taught for a decade at one of the biggest kite schools in the world. And it's like 5 to 7 days a week, 2 to 3 lessons a day, 10 months a year. That I got
That's a
burnt
lot.
out on that. Like that was a
Yeah.
lot, right? And at that time I was becoming a pro kiteboarder and I was like, I don't want to teach these people anymore. I don't want to teach beginners how to kiteboard. I'm a pro. I want to go ride in the thing, go on the trips and be this cool guy, right? But what I didn't realize at the time is what you get from teaching is really profound. So you give this person this amazing experience. You change their life in a way that is indescribable. You unlock these things that they want so badly. They want to work on this particular skill, and you allow them to safely and comfortably learn that skill. And they are just like enamored. And this stoke that they get in that moment is actually physically contagious. Like it is very hard to be on a lesson teaching someone something and they are genuinely so excited about, and you are just like, man, I'm not going to be happy for any of this. So like you being out there with the people, it's actually really fulfilling in a weird way to be in that space again. And then it's also fulfilling because full circle, now I kind of want it. Like it's not that I want to not teach anymore and I want to be the pro guy. It's like I did the full circle and I kind of want back into the saddle of the jet ski. I kind of want to be back into the like sharing the experiences versus just being like, look at me. Because that's kind of what a pro kiteboarder is. It's like, look at me. How can I impress you? Look at me. I kind of want to be more like, how can I help you? How can I serve you? Like, let's do this together. Like, that's way more rewarding for me as I age into the industry than look at me.
That's
So I'm not
beautiful,
too
man.
worried. I'm not too worried. I'm pretty psyched to go out when it's pumping and whip people into bombs and like get them frothy and film them with my GoPro and like get super sick. That sounds like what I want to do every day, anyways. It's kind of what I do every
And
day, anyways. I just don't get paid for it right now. So I
yeah,
might as well figure out a way to get paid for it
have
or share
people
the
signed up already?
Yeah, I have some bookings already locked in for this year. They were already in place before I made the announcement. Like I didn't just start the school on a whim and be like, "Hey, I have no
Yeah,
bookings and no plan."
yeah.
So I had a couple people that were already interested, and since I made the announcement, yeah, honestly, I had like 10 people reach out. They were like, "Oh man, I'd love to come to the gorge. I want to come to I'm coming to the gorge. Should I do this?" It's like that's kind of funny. You just say I'm teaching people, and you put your phone number on the internet, and people call you and say, "Hey, I want to come take an amazing experience with you." I'm like, "Great, let's go do that. I would
That
love to
is
have an
epic, man.
amazing experience with you. That sounds super fun."
Are you gonna be just on the jet ski, or are you gonna be parawinging or winging with people as well? Like showing them stuff. Sometimes I
Yeah,
think,
I think
because I'm
there
a
is,
teacher, sometimes it's good to show them
yeah, I think there's
like
something
in
to be
real
said
life
for
how
ride
something
along
should be.
lessons. So, I think on the jet ski, whoa, something crazy just happened. Riverside, edit this all out. So, what you asked is if I'm going to do ride along lessons, and basically, yeah. So,
Yeah.
while I can say, "Hey, jump on the ski for a second, let me take the wing and let me show you something," and we're going to watch
Okay.
it in this physical space, that is something that I will for sure be doing on the jet ski lessons. However, there may be people that are like, "Hey, I just need some help," or I may find a candidate that might be better to just not even involve the jet ski. They want to do, let's say, they want to do a massive 15-mile downwinder. I'm not going to drive the ski downwind for 15 miles and chase them. It makes way more sense for me to come with
Yeah.
you and take you on what is essentially a guided adventure. So think of like in the ski mountain industry, there are people that show up to Aspen, Colorado, and they say, I want a guide for the day. I don't want a
Sure.
lesson. They're going to get tips from the guide on how to ski better, how to access the area, but all they want is to be shown the sickest spots on the mountain and be taken in a controlled time to be able to access that. So it may be that the person is like, hey, look, I really want to work on my bump riding and I want to do this sick run. And I'm like, great, this is what we should do. And I'm going to come ride with you because that's the best solution for me to give you tips. The best part about winging and parawinging both is that unlike kiteboarding, we can literally just stop, sit down in the river, and we can talk about some stuff. And it's very easy to have fluid communication. I'll also have the BB talk system if you're familiar with that. So we're not shouting. We'll be able to get smooth talking. We can basically have a conversation while we're hydrofoiling down the river. And so there will be some options for ride along lessons for sure. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Because I want to touch on the Parawings themselves, if you don't mind, because I've seen you ride different Parawings.
Go down the wormhole.
I've seen you with the Pyro a lot.
Ooh, yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, it's
must be good if you ride it a lot.
It's really freaking good. So yeah, so the story behind that, be as succinct as I can, is the designer for Vayu. His name is Bill Hansen. I've been involved with Bill as a friend and a mentor capacity since Liquid Force, so like about a decade now. And he was tasked by the guys at Vayu. They make really great inflatable wings, like proper inflatable wings. Bill's an amazing designer. He's made kites and windsurfers. He used to sell 400 sails like a year in the 80s for windsurfing. Like he's a G. He knows how to sew. He's a legend. He needed some help. He was like, hey, I want to make this they want me to make a Parawing. And he's like, the guys that I'm using for testing in the wing space, they're in Germany. And the feedback cycle is long. I get a Parawing, I tie some knots, I send it to these guys. It takes 2 weeks before it gets tested. Then someone says, I don't know, it's not that good. And then he goes like, what am I doing? So a tester, it's really helpful for a tester to understand the design process. And because I worked in the design world, I know how to design a Parawing in the computer. I know how to make wings. I've been to the factories. I know I did all this. That was part of my job. So if I say it turns like crap, not only can I tie the knots to make it turn better, I can make suggestions as to how to move the profile, maybe how to change the outlines. So we work really well in unison together because we speak the same language. So Bill needed someone that could actively help him make essentially, we didn't have a name for it, but make the Vayu Parawing. The Gorge is obviously one of the best places for validating these things. There's strong wind, there's bumps, it's sick. So you got me, who I don't have a job. I can basically go and do whatever I want. Well, I mean, my bank account doesn't love it, but I can go do whatever I want. And he needs a validator, a person that can put on the water, a person that can tie the knot. So we kind of paired up. And so I helped get the Pyro to, there's more people than just me and Bill. There's Gunnar, he works in Fuerteventura. There's the people that do the CAD modeling. Obviously, it's not a one-man show, but yeah, we help get that Parawing up to spec and across the finish line to market so that we could make a Parawing that addresses the needs of the modern day Parawinger. I think a lot of the brands took a slight miss in that they thought that no one would want to go upwind. They were like, oh, all these people are downwind people. They're just going to want essentially a fabric paddle. And that is for sure true. There are people that still just want a fabric paddle. They live here in the Gorge. They drive upwind, Parawing downwind, drive upwind, Parawing downwind. I drive upwind and Parawing downwind too sometimes. It makes sense. But they're not really interested in lapping. And so the Parawings got built to be very powerful to get you up and pack away very small, which means they might not fly that well when they're out and they might not go upwind that fast. And so for me, because I'm a ride in one spot a lot, we needed something that would stow easily, rip upwind, and then also like just kind of be fun to fly when you have it out. So it's like when you have it out, it's actually, you don't always just want to put it away, right? We want like a good flying structure. And so all those needs kind of came together to make a Parawing that's just like really intuitive to fly, really easy, stows easy, rips up wind. It's really solid. It's built really well. I mean,
I'm excited because they say they are about to finish their 5 meter, and I'm supposed to be testing that one. So I'm excited if that will arrive or when that will arrive. Because as we've said before, like the bigger sizes are difficult.
Yeah. So I can give you some insight on that. I approved the 5 meter. Well, like last. I think it was 420. I want to say it was on April 20th was the day that we needed to have the stuff in. We wanted to pad and give us as much time as possible. look, we've been working on the 5. We signed off on the 2, 3, 4 in
And the feedback's been really good for the 4,
yeah,
at least at what I've heard.
yeah. So we signed off on those in December, right? And I've had the 5 since then. I've been working on the 5. We had to make several more samples, which takes, a month every time. You make the sample, it gets shipped, you get the sample, you tie the knots, you figure out if it was a good sample or not. Realistically, a cycle on a product is like a month between the testing, the tying, the shipping, all that stuff. So sign off in December, January, February, March. So 4 months, we had like couple samples, couple knot tyings, couple things. And we finally got the 5 working in the way that we did. We actually had to add like more lines to it, to be honest with you, because
Really?
the canopy needed more support. So as the Parawings grow, they can't grow in span, right? Because then they get too wide. So they get slightly lower aspect as they get bigger, right? Which makes the cord longer, right? So
Mhm.
as the cord gets longer, there's more unsupported canopy because there's only ribs every 3 cells on most Parawings. The S3 from Drexler is
Yeah.
ribbed on every segment, and the new race one that the Deafy Wing guy almost won on, that one was ribbed on every segment. But
The afterburner.
yeah,
Yeah.
all modern sellable Parawings right now are ribbed like every 2 or 3 cells, right? So you have a lot of unsupported canopy that can billow and change shape, and then you also have a demand in which you must have massive amounts of angle of attack change because you need to have D-power,
Yeah.
stable D-power.
Yes, please.
So
Yes.
you need to peg the angle of attack of the front so that it doesn't tuck, but you have to let the canopy spill air and not do weird things. So we needed to add a few more lines to kind of support that change in angle of attack and then extra cord length while giving us the same similar drive and feel. It was actually pretty complicated bridling and a lot of little knots and plucking of the strings. I call it plucking the harp. You like put it up in the air and you like pluck on the strings and like, oh, this one, maybe this one. It's just like a whole bunch of math and a whole bunch of like work. But yeah, I came out feeling really good. If anyone cares to get a little sneak peek into it, you go on my Instagram. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I put a reel up where I do a back roll on the wing and I like go under a pier. I think the post is called Shoot the Pier is what the title is. That's on the 5 meter. That's the 5 meter sign
Oh,
off. So you can look at
really?
it. You can be like,
Oh,
oh, there
wow.
it is in the flesh. Brandon has one. So the order got placed, the fabric, they're getting built. So they should be hopefully in the next, gosh, I want to say like a month, but I don't really know the shipping times. The we won't get political, but someone decided to mess up the shipping because the oil is expensive. So now shipping is really expensive. So I'm not sure rate wise, like how all that stuff gets from Sri Lanka to the Holland to then go to
Mhm.
you. Who even freaking knows anymore? But hopefully soon because they're pretty good. Yeah, they're working really good. I go out in very little wind with it, and it works well. So
So you know a lot about Parawings. Are there a few, and you don't have to name brands, that you look at and you say like, why? Why did someone come out with something like that? Or you always think, well, there might be something we didn't look at or that we missed.
mm,
Like,
I think right.
maybe the double skins, maybe the hybrids, maybe I don't know, like the super long leading edge or the super
Yeah,
short ones. I don't know.
yeah. So I think right now, kind of all the opportunity is open, right? Because essentially you try something and the way you know whether it did good is whether you sell a lot of them, right? It's not whether the performance is good, it's whether it moves the needle of the market. Because then if you move the needle in the sales, and the other brands are going to look at you and go, oh, that's selling that. So like right now people are starting to hone in on the feel of the Parawing. It needs to drive upwind, it needs to be stable, it needs to be able to turn, it needs to pack at an arm length, like a meter, 1.25 meter probably at the most. Any Parawings right now that you have to double pull to pull
Yeah.
in to get to the on the A's to like stow with more than one arm's length of pull is basically looked at as a version 1. Oh, they didn't know what they were doing. So if you don't have these certain hallmarks, you're not really even hitting the nail on the head right now. So inside of that small, like what's allowed, there's a lot of like weird features being packed in. I think you're going to see people soon starting to have adjustability. So like cleatings, so that you can get up with more power and or
Yeah.
cleat it to get it to go upwind better. I think you're going to see a lot of expansion on bar ergonomic shape, because right now basically almost everyone is just still using the stock carbon tube with maybe some fancy bar ends, but like no one's duotone maybe is custom molding a bar with that candy cane on the end.
Yeah.
Drexler, I guess, maybe with his shovel handle that he came up with, is maybe the first one to go really kind of interesting. So people are starting to try to pack features in because the feel is getting very convergent, right? There's not leaps and bounds happening on the feel of the Parawings.
Mhm.
So right now, the only thing that I think is kind of missing the mark right now is, and it's different for different people though, is like the double skin, hybrid skin thing. I think it's still questionable whether the efficiency in upwind is worth the trade-offs for build, construction, stowability, and or water startability. So it's interesting because the internet, some people rave about the big hybrids that they don't want to use anything else. I think that's because they're able to get a 6. Like, I don't think a lot of brands are making 6 Parawings, right? So, like, if you need a 6, you're gonna get a hybrid because that's the person that's offering, like, the 7.5 and the 6.5 and the hybrid, or 5.7 or whatever. Um, so I think that's kind of a little bit of a loss because all that stuff is geared towards, usually towards speed, and everyone always is like, "Race, race, 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 race," and, the heart in the heart of Parawinging, it's not race at all. I don't see it as a division
Especially
of race.
for people who are getting into parawing or like myself, an average rider, I don't need a race parawing. I need one that is comfortable, that has great deep power. Like today, I was out with a hybrid, and it was maybe between 15 and 30 knots, so super gusty.
Yeah,
I had the 4.3 with me, and I never felt overpowered, super stable, and I used the 777. They have this fabric that is super light, so stowing it away
yeah, I'm
was not a
familiar. I
problem at
I've
all.
used the same one you're talking about. I used the 3.1 though, not the bigger ones.
How do you like it? So you didn't like it too much, the hybrid?
No, so I thought construction was immaculate. It's very well made. It's complicated with all the little trussings and the support
Yeah,
systems. The line set is really small and high aerodynamic. It's stowed super quick and easy. The double surface is not a problem with water. It's not a problem
yeah,
with any of that stuff. The bar feel is good. It's got the high nub, and you're able to just ride off of A's when you're overpowered. You
yeah.
can really like just really just basically just ride on A's. And you have a lot of stability. All of that is wonderful. However, I rode my 3.2 Pyro and my 3.1 hybrid on the same. I had one in a backpack and one in my stow pouch. So I switched them on the water. I don't think I was getting any more significant upwind reach that was worth the fact that I was just able to get up on the 3.1, and I was like so comfortable on my 3.2. So like I lost a lot of bottom end. And like kind of like they're really like twitchy and like sensitive to rear line tension. They kind of move around a lot. And
Yeah,
so the adjustment to something that felt slightly more demanding to fly when I was taxiing, so like in the water on my knees to get up,
yeah,
and the like slight loss of low end did not seem like a fair trade-off for what felt like 3 degrees more angle. Like I wasn't getting that much more upwind considering. Um, that's was my take on it. It wasn't a good or a bad. It's just that for what my session was, I didn't see a benefit of using the hybrid. All I saw was it was harder for me to get up, which sucked.
I was out a couple of days ago with a lot of wind, like over 30, with a Tacoon Cloud, and I was surprised that such a cheap or no, not cheap, good, well-priced Parawing works that well. Like, it was a thicker material, but it was enough
Yeah.
wind anyway. D-power was amazing. It was easy to handle, easy to steer. And then you have other ones that are almost double the price that I cannot really ride, especially overpowered.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think it's still crazy, and it's important that, you know, people show, and that's kind of what I see a lot of problems with. If you look online, every Parawing is perfect. Like, so many team riders say it's the best and whatever.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
really like people who say if something's not good. It's hard to
Yeah.
see.
I mean, look, they make a great product. For me, it just didn't work for me. Maybe in the lighter wind where it's like I do see a significant increase in the upwind angle in like 12 knots. I don't know. I don't pair wing in light wind. Like for me, I wing and kite foil when it's light because those things work 1,000 times better than a pair wing. I start pair winging when I don't need my 4.0 regular wing anymore. So like I don't really rate light. I mean, I go in light wind because I'm working on light wind pair wings, but like that's not my idea for pair winging. It's when it's windy. It's easier when it's windy. It's 1,000 times easier.
Talking about windy, when's the next session? Like this afternoon?
Yeah, like as soon as we get out, like maybe hold on. I can do a quick check. We're in our thing right now. Oh, it's 20 knots. Um, the spot I want to go. So I just got to drive 25 minutes to a spot where it's blowing 20 knots. That seems pretty reasonable. But
What are you
I'm
gonna go
actually
with?
what?
What are you gonna go with?
Ooh, I'm actually getting a new prototype. It's shipping. It should be arriving. Should be here by 3 at the latest of the Pyro first sample for Pyro version 2.
Ooh,
So gonna go
exciting.
exciting, except for usually protos are just like not that good right out of the bag. So it's like, yeah, exciting. I get to go ride a thing that I have to tie a bunch of knots in. Awesome. No,
Shit.
I'll likely just go cruise a little bit. Me and my wife are gonna take our son to a small beach where all of us can go, and it's like really easy in and out. So it'd be like a family session, which is kind of fun. Um, Flint's like 2, and he can be on the beach and with like it's really nice. Yeah,
That
it's
is
a nice.
epic, man.
Yeah, it's
All
fun.
right. Well, then let's finish that podcast so you can go ride. Everyone who's still listening, check out gorgefoilacademy.com. If you like this podcast, rate it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Super cool. And thank you very much, Brandon, for coming on the show and talking with me.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to spread the information that I have in my brain. I got a lot of it. And also, yeah, I just want to share the love. Like I said, I just want to share the love of foiling. It changed my life drastically. I'm sure it changed your life. Look at you're doing, like the wind sports and the hydrofoil thing can send your life is going in one direction, all of a sudden it's going in a very different direction, and not in a bad way at all. And so if I can help facilitate that for anybody, let me help you. I'm like a drug dealer. Let me help get you addicted to carbon. Let me introduce you to carbon hydrofoils. That's
That is epic. All right, man. Thanks a lot and have a good session.
yeah, thanks. Take care.
Cheers.